displaced.
Yeah, you were going to give us figures earlier. Let's talk numbers now. How many people are affected? Do you have like a specific number, especially in the Northeast, those 3 states in particular?
Those 3 states.
Yes, numbers around 250,000, I think.
Yeah, thereabout. We have about 200. This is about March of 2014. We have about 250,000 affected. According to UNHCR, 1,000 Nigerians go into the Difa region of Niger every single week. Every single week. 83% of those being women and children. No toilet facility. Some of them need camps to stay in. And some of the troubles that relief materials, getting relief materials to some of these people, some of the troubles that have been happening is they live with host communities. They live within host community. There are no designated camps for some of these victims. So it's really hard to get to them. But what we know, apart from the 250,000, the troubles are happening every day. Every single day people are getting bombed or places are getting destroyed. So we hope that the numbers come down, but it takes a collective effort from all of us. And that's what we're trying to see. It is a collective effort from all of us.
We see, growing up, most of us only saw these things on TV, refugee camps in other countries, in places like Rwanda when we were growing up. This is internally displaced Nigerians now. Are there camps for them? Where are they?
From reports that we have, they're with host communities. Okay. You know, Nigerians, we're accommodating people. Yeah. We're loving people by nature. No matter how far things have come along now, we are loving people by nature. So what has happened is host communities, whether it be aunties or uncles or extended families, are taking the Difa region of Niger are taking in complete strangers, and taking them into their homes. Now there's a stretch, there's a limit to what these people can take. So
yeah, is it better? Is it advisable for camps to be set up? Because most times you hear that maybe things like relief materials are easier to accessible when things like that are done. Are we at a stage where we need to start thinking about that, especially in the northern region, northeastern region?
Well, for now there are some individuals and some leaders in Adamawa states that are taking some initiative to really come to the aid of some of these internally displaced persons. I saw a report yesterday where some community leaders are actually trying to take people off where these attacks are more rampant and also take them to safe places. So in the short term, I think it's right for camps or for alternative accommodations to be given to some of these people, because you can't just leave them out there to be maimed or to be killed by the sect.
Yeah. So are they displaced, and do they remain in the northeast, or are they leaving the northeast?
Like I said, a lot of them are going into Chad,
and Cameroon,
Niger, Cameroon, and the rest of them. Now, for security reasons, maybe camps, when he talks about camps, maybe for security reasons, that's why they're still a bit skeptical, so it's easier for you to stay within host communities for security reasons. But if the situation gets worse, we don't have a choice as a nation.
What sort of conditions are these people living in?
From what we know, from eating 3 square meals a day to 1 square meal a day, 500 people to 1 toilet, no water, sanitation, health facilities are almost obsolete. So we know that it's a really, really terrible situation. Getting food across to them is terrible. Pregnant women are giving birth anywhere they find. So even the hygienic situation right now, schools have been shut down. We know that for a very long time. So the long-term effects of what is going on, I think what's really happening is that we're looking at it from a short-term basis. The long-term effect of what is going on right now is really, really what is catastrophic for us, not as a region, but as a country. Yeah. And that is why we all need to come together. Because in the long term, if we don't curb this thing, nip it in the bud, and try as much as possible to see how we can send a bit of goodwill to these people, then it's probably just going to spread around and become far more worse.
Yeah. Talking about nipping it in the bud, sorry to take you back to security now, because I know it's something you're pretty versed in. The northeastern part of Nigeria, sadly, most people suddenly started thinking it wasn't a part of Nigeria anymore. It's like, oh, it's happening there, they are there. Things are starting to trickle down now. And of course, it's going to mean at the end of the day, if nothing, like you said, is nipped in the bud, internal displacement is going to be much more than a northeastern problem. Yeah. It's a Nigerian problem anyway, as it is now. How dangerous are things looking, do you think? Without trying to sound so like they have been doing bad news.
Well, the situation are pretty dire, if I must say. The other day, the security agent, the military, kudos to them. They were able to dislodge Boko Haram sect from a Bama forest in a border between Bauchi and Jigawa. So we are looking at a situation where we don't even know how many camps are out there because the Sambisa forest is another major base of this sect. And the attacks, the level of attacks, the level of sophistication, the level of training that these people have got, the level of support network, the level of intelligence they have at their disposal. We are looking at, I'm not trying to sound so pessimistic about this situation. We are looking at another decade of fighting this insurgency.
People have said, what you said is very key. Most people have said that there's probably 10 different groups now fighting different causes.
Exactly.
So the Nigerian government need to really understand that the situation is quite dire, and we are in for a long haul. This battle should be about all Nigerians coming together, irrespective of political, religious class, to rally around the government and fight this war. Because if we, like you said, if we don't nip it in the bud, all our children and grandchildren wake up still fighting Boko Haram.
And we grow up with a generation that knows, you hear children talking about bombings now, gunshots. We didn't know that in growing up.
Yes.
We didn't know that. These are things that probably would watch in the news, if we were even allowed to watch the news at that point in time. But we're going to grow up with a new generation that knows violence, that knows about killings and bombs, and we don't know how easily that can turn around against us, So
when violence is your normal.
It becomes part of who you are.
Yeah. But coming from what he said now, about how the situation seems to be overwhelming even the government. Everybody seems overwhelmed.
Yeah.
How then are we going to handle that and also handle internally displaced people? It almost looks like they are not priority right now.
Because they're not. Let's be realistic. And that is why we're here. We're saying that the efforts can't be with the government alone. The government has a whole lot on its head right now. Yeah? The complexity of the security situation in Ibuka, today we hear this, tomorrow we hear that, next tomorrow, we can't even know what is going on. Realistically, we can't know. We can't even digest, okay, what is true, what is not true, what is going on with us, is it Boko Haram in Abuja, is it we can't really tell. So what we're saying is, as individuals, how can you help Ibuka? As Mariam, how can I help? As Inamdi, how can he help? If the government is overwhelmed by the security challenges, we're not overwhelmed in trying to help. We're not overwhelmed in helping the internally displaced, who are our brothers and sisters, no matter how we see it. Look at the food insecurity right now going on in the country. You might say, I'm in Lagos, it doesn't affect me. But the food you buy and the food you eat affects you because it's from that region. Some of the statistics with regard to, there are about 2.1 million that are estimated to go into food security crisis in Nigeria due to some of these regions. 19,000 farmers have been displaced within Borno State alone. So these are things that, whether we like it or not, will trickle down to the rest of the country. So that's why we all need to come together, irrespective of where you're from. Because this is something that affects each and every one of us. I was reading yesterday when someone said some people in Abeokuta are doing the tie and dye. They rely on the northern market to be able to get some of their things in. Some people in Aba market need to go to the north to get some of their stuff. Now, due to the Boko Haram crisis, they can't even go there. There's such a stigma in even going to the north. Boko Haram, Abuja people and this Boko. So we need to find a way to change that mentality, change that, because the stigma alone can be a major problem for us in the near future.
Let's talk about your organization now, and with a very interesting name, actually.
Yes.
And how did you get involved in all of this?
Okay. The name of the organization is Ayahe Foundation. It was started about 1.5 years ago. I lost a friend of mine and her sister in a car accident 3 years ago. Now, she was a very good friend of mine, probably my best friend, the closest thing I've ever had. Didn't know it until she was gone. And after she had died, we came together, and to immortalize them, basically, we decided to do a few projects in their memory. So we renovated schools, we built boreholes, we built about 7 boreholes in 2 different states. And after that, I realized I had a passion for this. I understand myself better when I help people. It gives me joy to help people. And I say this about the organization every day, that if I change the life of one individual, I could probably do a project with up to 1,000 individuals. And one individual life is changed. It's a success to me, because it's like planting a seed, and that seed grows, you have branches, So we all came together and we decided, okay, how do we turn this into a proper organization? And mostly focus on women and children in the northern parts of the country. I don't have to go into details about some of the statistics we have with regard to that region, but I believe that even we as a people now know the urgency needed with regard to women and children in regions in the north. So we're trying as much as possible. With children, we see how do we educate them. With women, how do we empower you? And we empower you simply because we want you to change the nutritional and the educational status of your children. Yeah. So it's not just about you. It trickles down to your children as well. According to, I can't remember which one it is, they say an educated woman has a likelihood of her child living up to the age of 5, or is it up to the age of 10, with just basic education. And one who doesn't have basic education does not even understand the basic needs of hygiene. But basic education gives you, even if it's primary school education you have the basic needs of what it is that you need to survive as a human being. So basically that's really what we try to do and try to pass along to people.